Welcome to the 2019 World Jump Rope Championship. We are live in Oslo Fjord, Norway, where over the past 4 days, nearly 1,000 athletes have competed across 16 events from 26 different countries, all to make it to today's Grand World Finals. My name is Joseph Edney. I'm joined here by Kaylee Woodard and Erica Zen. We'll be your hosts throughout this competition, and we're thrilled to be with you for today.
As Joe said, we have athletes from many different countries competing today, and today truly is the best of our sport. Athletes will be competing across both speed and freestyle, single rope and double dutch. We're gonna move fast today, so be sure to stay tuned in. You do not wanna miss a second.
If you have friends or family back home who you'd like to see the sport of jump rope, today is definitely the day to show them. And if you're in the arena, please do engage with us using the hashtag WJR2019. From here, we'll turn it over to the fastest feet in the world. Let's jump.
Okay, we need all of the speed head judges to please meet Dave in the middle of the floor. All of the speed head judges, please meet David Astles in the middle.
Here at today's Grand World Championship, we're going to see a number of events competed, starting with the Double Dutch Speed Relay. That's where we have 3 athletes all competing in Double Dutch Speed. They'll rotate for 40 seconds each inside the ropes. That will be followed by Double Dutch Pair Speed, with 2 athletes inside the ropes, each jumping for 60 seconds. After that, we have pairs Double Under Speed, Single Rope Speed Relay, Single Rope Speed 30 seconds, then Single Rope Speed 3 minutes, followed by the Single Rope Freestyle event. That'll be a hard transition as we move from the speed events into the freestyle. That will be followed by Single Rope Pairs Freestyle, Single Rope Pairs Wheel Freestyle, Single Rope Team Freestyle. All of these will be performed to music. Following those single rope events, we'll move into Double Dutch Single Freestyle, Double Dutch Pairs Freestyle, Double Dutch Triad Freestyle with 3 jumpers inside the ropes. And after that, we'll make another transition and enter into the World Jump Rope DDC competition. DDC includes a choreographed Double Dutch routine done to music between 2 and 3 minutes in length. We will start with DDC Speed. That's one of the fastest events on the planet. We have 1 jumper inside Double Dutch ropes going for 30 seconds. That'll be followed by the DDC Freestyle event, and we'll close the day with triple unders. Now, we will do awards for the speed events this morning, following all of the speed events. However, when we transition into the freestyle portion of the day, we will do an award after each freestyle event.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Heat number 1 will be coming up momentarily. Again, we are going to start in the Double Dutch Speed Relay event. Erica, tell us more about the Double Dutch Speed Relay event.
So the Double Dutch Speed Relay event is a Double Dutch event, meaning 2 ropes, 2 turners, turning in an egg beater fashion, and the jumper on the inside is alternating their feet, and the judges are there to count the right foot. So that's what Double Dutch Speed looks like. This particular event has 3 jumpers, so the turners and jumpers are switching every 40 seconds, and part of the one of the challenges of this event is that jumpers need to be good at jumping, but also need to be good at turning, and so that definitely adds a layer of complexity as opposed to other Double Dutch events, which we'll get to later, where jumpers can specialize in one or the other.
That's right, and we saw in the preliminary days some world records broken across many of these events, and this is one of those events. A team from China showed us what they could do, and it was very impressive to see. Today we're going to look for these teams to match or exceed their world records, and the first heat of the day is taking the floor at this point. You will see the scores live on the screen as the competitors do their speed events once we begin. This is the 2019 World Jump Rope Championship.
And ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, obviously it's pretty dark in here, so it even enhances flash photography, which we do not want. So ensure if you have something that's powered at all and you're pointing in.
All right, so before we start, I want to give a little bit of context in what you should be looking for in terms of top scorers in this event. So this event is divided by gender. So there's an all-female category, there's an all-male category, and then there's an open category where males and females jump together. The records that we are looking for the females are 406 is the current record. For the males, it is 448.5. And in open, it is 424. Now, these numbers are actually doubled because they're just counting the right foot. So when you look in the official record books, 406 would actually be more of an 812.
The athletes are underway.
Joe, can you talk about the different types of ropes the athletes are using?
I can, and for the most part what we're seeing are plastic ropes. Those are easier to turn, and especially when there is a 40-second, 40-second, 40-second transition, you want those ropes as light as possible. You can see tight shots here on some of these teams. Again, the top scores in the tournament were taken for today's final championship.
10.
You can see the scoreboard in the background ticking up.
So you remember, each jumper is jumping for 40 seconds, 3 different jumpers. And when a jumper makes a mistake in double Dutch speed, and especially at the level that these jumpers are jumping, it could cost them.
So right now we've got 2 teams that are neck and neck. One on Station 5, the Bouncing Bulldogs at 300, just shy of it at the transition, and another from China at 297. Entering the final jumper. One mistake can cost these athletes a lot of points. Team from China pulling ahead from the American team. But those two are clearly the heat leaders. 390 now for China, 390 for the
cross
U.S.
400. All right, and we have a new female record.
Well done, 426 for the Bouncing Bulldogs and 431 for Team China.
Wow, that's exciting. So the previous record was 406. So this is beating that record by a long shot, which is something we've seen happen quite a few times in this competition already.
So a new competition world record on the very first heat. A great start to our speed events here today. Now, one of the things that you'll see on the floor are that there are 3 judges at each station. Those judges are wearing the teal blue shirts. One of those 3 judges has in their hands a mechanical clicker that is sort of a metal, mechanical, old style. Every time the button is pushed, a count is registered. One of the judges has an electronic counter. The judge with the electronic counter score feeds directly up onto the screen. Now, after each round, the scores are compared, and if there is more than a 3-point discrepancy between the judges, then the athlete is awarded a rescore based on a video replay. So one of the things that we're going to recognize as we commentate here is that we're going to look at the display scores up on the big board here in the arena. However, there's a chance that some of these scores could be amended after the fact, so these are unofficial. However, these are experienced judges. They are all certified, and we can rely on upon the fact that the scores, if not dead on, are going to be very, very close.
Absolutely. All right, we're moving into our second heat. It looks like this is the all-male heat. So the way these heats are set up, it should be 1 race, 1 winner, very clear. In the preliminaries, we had different heats that, we'd have to keep track of which score was to which category. But out of that last heat, we have an all-female winner, and out of this next heat, we will have an all-male winner.
1 race and 1 winner.
Now the record for this this category is 448.5, which, for context, means that the jumpers jumped over a rope 897 times in the 2 minutes of this full event.
All right, we are all set for the double Dutch pair speed, and here we go.
Double Dutch speed, 3x40. Judges ready, jumpers ready, set.
On the floor now, 4 teams hailing from China, 1 from Portugal and 1 from Japan. These are the all-male competitors.
20.
So for a clean heat, again, 1 mistake can cost these jumpers a lot of
30.
points.
So Station 2 is our world record-setting group.
Switch.
Well done. 187, the top score, again from that record-setting group. Now moving into the second
10.
of 3 jumpers.
And just again, for some context, 187 times 3 would be 561. So that first jumper really set them up for a powerful run here.
30.
The record to beat is 4:48.5.
Switch.
Well done at the split, 3:45. The clear leaders at heat station number 2 out of China.
10.
I have a feeling they're going to beat their record.
They are now crossing 400, and they are well ahead of the rest of the heat.
20.
This is an all-male heat, one champion. Wow, they're going to blow past their
Way
record.
past their record. All right, they're already at their
now.
record.
We have a new world record on the floor. Very exciting to see. And they are just destroying the record. 480. 490. Wow.
Wow.
Incredible. Incredible.
That's unbelievable.
And you can see how tight their form is. They had no mistakes throughout that whole sequence. And each of the athletes, when they competed, their upper body was almost completely still. You could just see their hair bouncing and then their legs just pumping up and down like a machine. Those turners had to, of course, time every single turn of the rope under each foot.
Wow, and not to overlook the 442, 429, 439 that also happened in this heat. In the sport of jump rope, this many 400s in this event is unheard of.
A month ago, each of these would have been a new world record in its own right.
Absolutely.
But today, with an unofficial 492, the bar has been set very high.
And this has been pretty representative of what we've seen through the speed competition so far. This Chinese team has been very dominant.
That's right. And coming up next, we've got the mixed gender heat. So we've got 6 teams, each that includes both male and female athletes taking the floor now. And once again, this will be the final heat of the Double Dutch Speed Relay event. 1 heat, 1 champion per age category.
So there are many things that can make a jumper or a group be really successful in this event. One of the things that a way to look for in this next heat is the focus. Between the turners who are focused on the jumper's feet and making sure their feet are fitting in between the ropes in a way that they're not going to mess up, but also the jumper has complete and total stillness of the upper body and is really like looking right in front of them. And the slightest bit of off focus in this event can cause a mistake, and a mistake can be the end of your run.
That's right, and one of the things that's exciting about this particular heat is you see a variety of competitors, but specifically you see junior competitors. So we see athletes on the floor who are very young, and all that means is that in the preliminary days, they scored so well that they were able to outcompete some of their older and perhaps more experienced peers to make it here to the finals of this event, particularly from Team China. We see a lot of younger teams, or teams who appear to be much younger than some of the other athletes on the floor, and so we'll see if they can hang tough here as we enter into the final heat. This is the 2019 World Jump Rope Championship.
And just a reminder, if you have questions or want to shout out any of the jumpers or like something you see, do use the hashtag WJR 2019.
All right, I think we are all set.
All right, we are all set.
Here we go.
Double Dutch Speed 3x40. Judges ready. Jumpers ready. Set.
And we have our record group here on the floor from Cleveland Air Magic in Australia.
10.
And they are also in the Lucky Station 2.
20.
You notice different turners take different stances, but all of the athletes on the floor right now are using plastic ropes to ensure that they're lightweight, they can be turned quickly. Correction, there are some beaded ropes we're seeing as well. All right, on the floor right now at the splits, we've got 3 teams that are all neck and neck. One from Australia, one from China.
It doesn't seem like anyone's...
20.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't know if we're going to see any 490s from this group just because we've seen a couple mistakes already.
Team from Japan and team from China, each
30.
pushing 260. Those appear to be the heat leaders. Now 275, they are neck and neck. 290.
Switch.
You can see how they have to take those ropes from very fast to very slow, transition the handles to a new turner, and then get the jumper back into the ropes. One of the hardest parts about this event and one of the biggest difference makers is how efficient that switch is. Now on the floor now, you can see Team Australia making a bite into that lead, but still Team China with a commanding head start at 373. Australia coming back now. They are crossing Team China. They have caught up on this last jumper, and they have passed them. The crowd getting into it now as the Australians at 415, 420. Wow. What a comeback for Team Australia. Cleveland Air Magic showing us what it takes to have mistakes in the middle of the routine and yet be so fast on that last jumper that they make up the difference and come back.
That's almost been the narrative of Cleveland Air Magic this entire competition. The beginning, a couple events didn't go right, and since then they've been dynamite, unstoppable.
Amazing job. Again, this was the mixed gender division, and that was it. Those were the top 6 competitors. And now we have an unofficial Grand World Champion.
So these athletes train year-round to get these kind of scores. Something that's a little bit different about the sport of jump rope than maybe some other sports is there's generally 1 or 2 main events at the end of the year that the jumpers spend all year training for. We've talked to some of these athletes who practice as much as 3 hours a day every single day. And to get to the level that these jumpers are jumping at, that really is what it takes. While there's definitely talent involved, there's a pure dedication and time commitment to training that has you get results like these.
That's right, and one of the things that we're noticing about these heats with these athletes is that you're going to hear and see many of the same competitors come onto the floor for event after event, and that's just a testament to what Erica just described, that we've got a lot of folks here in the competition who are able to translate success in one event to another. The conditioning, the training, the communication involved in success here definitely is transferable from event to event.
Absolutely, and you won't be surprised to also see the same groups again and again succeeding. Also because as a jumper, the longer you compete together, the better you understand each other and the better you're able to just get on the floor and get down to business. So that Cleveland Air Magic group we just saw has been competing together for a while now, and it's showing. Okay, so the next event that we're about to jump into is Double Dutch Pairs Speed. So this event is very similar to the last event we just watched. The difference being that the turners and jumpers never switch places here. The turners are turners and the jumpers are jumpers. One jumper jumps in for 1 minute, then a switch is called, and the next jumper jumps in for another minute.
That's right, and so as we watch this particular event, you'll notice that the turners will not do the switch, so that dangerous switch between turner and jumper in the last event will not be present in this one, and so we do expect these teams to get into a good rhythm as they go. Now, Erica, what kind of scores do we expect to see from some of the top competitors in Double Dutch Pair Speed?
Well, I can tell you what scores we've seen in the past, but there's a good chance that these jumpers will blow these out of the water. The world jump rope records that we have so far, the female record is 419.5, the male record is 405.5, and the open record is 424.5. So the records look very similar to the last event. If you factor in, so it's the exact same amount of time overall. Both events are 2 minutes long. The difference being you don't have to make switches in this event. And each jumper can get a little more tired in the extra 20 seconds of the 1 minute, which generally evens out to about a very similar score. What makes this event different is you get to watch jumpers specialize.
By 60. Judges ready?
Heat number 4 on the
ready.
floor.
Set.
This is the all-female heat.
And this specific group isn't on the floor, but the record holders for this event are the Bouncing Bulldogs, and we see 2 of those groups on the floor.
Now, as they move through the first minute of the competition, a reminder that we're looking for the split at the 1 minute mark to be around the 200-point score.
30.
Team from Japan, currently the heat leaders in station number 2. They are on pace to exceed 200 after the first minute.
And as a jumper, that's really where you want to make sure you are. If you're over 200, you can set your group up for 400 total.
All right, one of the stations now crossing the 200 mark. The Bouncing Bulldogs with 210, Team Japan with 202, and the Bouncing Bulldogs, a second group with 202. Those were the 3 heat leaders. Now in the second jumper. Again, this is one heat. These are the top 6 groups, so the champion here will be the Grand World Champion. And a miss from Team Japan. One miss can be devastating in this event, but they're showing us what it takes to recover. Currently 300 has been crossed by the Bouncing Bulldogs, and they are the clear leaders in this heat. Now crossing 330.
This gets to the tough part of the event as a jumper.
350, those turners are now tired. They have to maintain pace, consistency, rhythm. 370, 380, 390.
Still going strong.
400 has been crossed. Well done, 406 from the all-female team. A clear leader in that, the Bouncing Bulldogs in heat. They're station number 6.
Right,
nice job by those ladies.
Marvelous. That was marvelous. Up next will be our male competitors. Again, folks, no
Okay, the next heat we have is going to be our all-male competitors.
So one of the things that we noticed in this event is that despite the fact that we don't have the switches we saw in the last event, some of the top scores are still a little lower than what we saw before. And that is attributable to what Erica described before, where the fatigue factor does play a role. And so having to jump for an extra 20 seconds, so 60 seconds instead of 40 seconds, can make a big difference. Much like in track and field, a sprinter is going to be able to perform 100 meters faster than a 400 or a mile or a marathon runner. In the same way, some of these 40-second splits are going to be faster just by virtue of them being sprints.
Absolutely. And as a jumper, you do train for this event very differently than you trained for the last one. Jumpers who jump this event need to be training their legs separately, like in addition to the training they're already doing for the 3x40 event. And the turners need to be turning so that they can keep up with that 1 minute, because while in the real world a 1 minute doesn't seem long, in those ropes it's a long time.
Station number 2 from China.
Taking the floor now, the all-male heat. This is heat number 5. If you're following along at home, use the hashtag WJR 2019 to engage with us on social media. If you have a question, a comment, or a shout-out for an athlete, we'd love to hear from you.
Pika, Miguel, and Hugo. Station 5, Portuguese Association of Rope Skipping. Paulo, João, Fernando, and David. And finally from Hong Kong in station
Common
6,
question I get about double Dutch is double Dutch speed particularly is there, why are the genders divided? Is there actually a difference between the genders in this event? My feeling on this is no, and the records are similar enough that there shouldn't be too big of a difference. But this is something in the sport that we're ongoingly talking about and kind of opening up and discussing, is which events do need to be divided by gender in terms of making things fair, and which events do we think we can put together. In this competition, we've seen some really strong performances in both genders, and the scores again look very similar, but for now we do keep these separate.
On the floor now, heat number 5. We've got 2 teams from China, 1 from Japan, 1 from Hong Kong, and 2 teams from Portugal.
Joe, it looks like we've seen some of the same teams over and over again in these events. Why do you think that's the case?
We have, and I think it comes down to teams, what they specialize in and their training methods. So some teams are really going to focus on these speed events, while others are going to focus on freestyle. And then the training that goes into these can be grueling. And sometimes these athletes have to make decisions, especially in a tournament where there are 16 different events that are competed.
Absolutely.
Underway at the first 15 split. We're going to pull the world record scores here for the all males.
So the all-male world record is 405.5.
30.
And if these teams can hang on to this pace, they will easily blow through that record.
45.
Now, throughout the preliminaries, Team China was dominant in speed, but Team Portugal has really showed us a spark, especially in these speed events. Erica talked earlier about how some of these groups choose to specialize, and Team Portugal with the lead after the split at 240 from the first jumper. Team China right behind them with 234. And now in the second athlete, again, the judges, or those who are on the floor clicking or counting the jumpers, only look for one of the 2 feet. So they're counting the right foot, and there are 3 of them. Each of those 3 must be within 3 points of the total in order for that score to be valid.
Now the Portuguese team had a mistake or 2 at this point, so the Chinese team is pulled ahead.
But they are neck and neck. Team Portugal really bringing it back. They're at 390 now. Team China crossing 4, Portugal crossing 4. Portugal seems to be creeping up on them. Can they catch them before the end, though? We've got a new world record. Team China made a mistake.
Wow.
So Portugal has pulled ahead at 450. Now 460. Wow.
Good for them.
460 the high score, followed by 449. Portugal, the unofficial grand world champions.
That's extremely exciting.
Now they did have a mistake or 2 in that, and so did China. So it's amazing to think what a perfectly clean run would
Might
look
have looked like, right?
That's right. Now, Erica, how many points might a team miss out on from a mistake?
So in an event where they're moving this quickly, it could be up to 10 or 15 points. That said, the other thing you have to factor in the conversation of if I wouldn't have missed, I might have hit, is you might be more tired if you wouldn't have had that miss. The miss is also an opportunity for the jumper to step back and take a breath. So there's no way of knowing, and typically what we say in training is an event like this, a mistake will cost you 10 to 15 points.
So one of the things we've seen through some of these first events today is new records being broken almost across the board, and that's an indication that the sport has not yet plateaued. And the fact that new athletes can enter the sport and have an opportunity to break some of these records is one of the motivating factors for new athletes to get into the sport. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. The competitive sport of jump rope's been around for over 40 years. And to think that we're this far in and that things are still pushing is extremely exciting. And we've talked about this throughout the broadcast, but there is every time new records are set, there's this new sense of like, this has to be it. It couldn't get faster than this. Like, this has to be the fastest in the world. And then somebody comes in and shows us that we're wrong. And that's what keeps a lot of us coming back, is this feeling of there's always more. There's always more to do. There's always a new high to hit.
Station number 5 from China, Yishin, Yisu, Jinyi.
Now entering into the mixed gender division, again for the double Dutch pairs speed events. These groups are going to include male and female athletes partnered together.
And the record that we're looking for in this event is 424.5, and it was set by that same Australian group, where it doesn't look like that they made the finals for this event today. But the group that we saw set that record earlier.
And once again, each of these teams has to compete on the preliminary competition in order to qualify for today. And today, the top 6 scoring teams are taken and allowed to recompete for the Grand World Championship. Now, we've talked before, but one mistake or one off-turned rope can be catastrophic for the final scores, especially when the field is this competitive.
The other thing to bear in mind is these athletes have been competing heavily for the last 4 days. So I know for a fact that some of even the most experienced athletes are very sore at this point.
And we're underway, and one of the things to watch here in this final heat of the double Dutch pair speed is how does the turner and jumper communicate? So each of these athletes clearly has to be in a rhythm and in a pace, but sometimes they will use hand motions, and other times you will hear them verbally cueing each other to speed up, slow down, move from side to side.
30.
And they will always want to keep the jumper in the center of the ropes where the arc of the turn is the highest.
Another thing to look for is not only when groups make mistakes, but how they make mistakes. How quickly a jumper or a team can recover from a mistake can give you the difference in their score.
Station number 2 from Team China already at 240.
A good 30 points ahead of the rest of the field.
250. They are on an amazing pace if they can maintain this. Incredible. 270 nearly at the split. Station number 2 living up to its reputation here of having the fastest competitors in it. 350 now for Team China.
30.
And they are mistake-free so far. The turners have got to be feeling it.
You also notice the jumper on the outside. There are many different approaches to being the jumper on the outside. Some of them are in the middle coaching, some of them are sitting down, some of them are ready to get in the ropes.
420, 430.
Wow.
And catching up to them. Wow, we've got a tie on the board.
Wow. Didn't see that coming.
Incredible. Carolina jump rope came back from behind to get 459 and match Team China at 459. So those are both unofficial scores. And with 2 teams at 459, the judges will have to sort out the official scores before we can truly crown a Grand World Champion. But regardless of which one of them it is, both broke the prior world record on that run. And an incredible job by both the Carolina jump rope team out of the U.S. as well as the Chinese team. That's the conclusion of the double dutch pair speed event. And once again, we will have all the awards for all speed events coming up once we complete them here in about an hour or so.
And I want to really acknowledge the athletes in this event. They really brought the fire, brought the heat. You can tell that thousands of hours of hard work have been put in, and it's really paying off.
First, the ladies in